Good afternoon, everyone. It is 13 past 12 on Saturday, the 21st of December, and I think this is actually my first vlog for December, which is incredibly slack of me, but I kind of had to completely strip back my life the past few weeks and just focus on work, unfortunately, which you've heard me harp on a million times about how busy it is. It is still the case. However, I've only got 2 working days left of the year, and I'm expecting them to be reasonably relaxed. I have just left Ben's. We are just on our way home, if we can actually get a break in traffic, because it is absolute chaos at the moment, but we're on our way home. I've got a bit of life admin that I actually need to do, which I'll update you on in a second. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera because I'm paying attention to traffic. But like I said, we've got a bit of life admin. We've got some stuff to update you on. We've had a few things kind of change in the past 24 hours, and we are just trying to get a handle on it, essentially. But I obviously just wanted to switch the camera on and welcome you to a new video. Okay, we are back home. Just made myself an iced coffee. So I've put a blanket down because I did some fake tan this morning, and white couches and fake tan do not mix. So I've got my gross old blanket. Actually, it's not gross, it's just old and well loved, but it goes through everything with me because every time I've got fake tan, it gets thrown over the couch to protect it. And I've just noticed as well, you can see one of my presents from Ben recently. It wasn't a Christmas present or anything, but he got me the cushion and also the matching blanket, which was very lovely of him. He's such a good boy. But like I said, it wasn't for Christmas or anything. He just got them for me, which is quite lovely. But they do not get put anywhere near me when I've got fake tan as well. I'm just stretching my legs out underneath the coffee table because I was feeling a little bit cramped. But I have my laptop with me, which hopefully it has charge. Oh, it's a bit cold on the legs. And I have my credit card because we need to do a bit of life admin before we go to the gym. We've got a nail appointment as well today, and also I don't know if you have noticed this, the Fitbit that is on my wrist at the moment. I got it for myself last weekend after I made the mistake. Actually, let's I feel like I get in these phases when I'm on camera where I just like throw information at you. So let's like slow it down a little bit. I got myself a Fitbit last weekend as a way to monitor my activity because I've been working such long hours and been working from home predominantly that I became acutely aware of the fact that I wasn't moving my body as much as I should. And I always kind of relied on the fact that I do, you know, go to the gym pretty regularly, and I do cardio sessions as well. But I was kind of curious as to whether that was enough. And to be honest, so what I did was I hopped on obviously the health app of on my iPhone, and I looked at the step count on that, and it was incredibly low on average. And I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, it's obviously low because every time I like get up from my table and walk around the house, or when I'm on the treadmill, it's obviously not tracking my steps that way. But it made me a little bit worried at how little I was actually moving around. And so I thought that I would get myself another Apple Watch. I got rid of mine last year because, to be honest, I wasn't wearing it because I didn't like the way that it looked on my wrist. I got rid of it because I felt as though it made my wrist look a bit bulky. And then after, you know, sort of realizing how little I've been moving my body, particularly the past couple of months with work being so crazy, I started to think maybe I need an Apple Watch again because I need something that tells me how little I'm moving in like scientific terms. But I really just didn't want to go and get another Apple Watch, knowing that I'd probably do the same thing and not like how it looked on my wrist and end up not wearing it and therefore wasting my money again. So I started to look at alternatives, and what's funny is before I had an Apple Watch, I actually had a Fitbit. But when I got the Apple Watch last time, I gave the Fitbit to my mum and, you know, started wearing the Apple Watch. And anyway, in looking for alternatives for fitness trackers, I obviously turned to the Fitbit again. And what I like about this is it's a lot smaller than an Apple Watch, and it has the features what I want. Like, I didn't care for the call function or the messages and stuff on my Apple Watch either, although this does have that. But all I really wanted was something to track my heart rate, track my steps, and track roughly how many calories I burn a day. So I got this one, which is also a lot more affordable than an Apple Watch, I will freely admit, and that definitely added to the appeal. But I like I said, like the fact that it's a little bit more sleek and narrow, and I don't feel like it just like takes over my wrist so much. So I'm really happy with it. What it has taught me though is the stats on my phone weren't that far off, which is incredibly worrying, considering how many times I know that I've worked way too long in a day and gone, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going to the gym today. I'm too mentally exhausted. And I've had a couple of those days this week, particularly because I had Bella as well. So it's a lot easier to convince yourself that you should just stay home because dragging her to the gym is kind of boring for her. But in seeing the stats on those days, it's no wonder that I've been feeling really sluggish, and I call it unintentionally bulking. I've definitely unintentionally bulked over the past few months. Not a lot, thankfully, like I think we're talking maybe a kilo, but it's not a vibe. That is for sure. So I bought myself an Apple Watch, not an Apple Watch, a Fitbit to get on top of it. So we are here to do some life admin because there have been some changes in our Christmas plans over the past 24 hours. So Ben was at home the other night and I don't think he'll mind me telling you this, but he was talking to his dad. You've seen Ben on my videos, so you would have picked up on his accent. He's from England, so all his family is back in the UK. So he was talking to his dad the other night and he learned that his grandfather is unwell at the moment, and he's also 90 years old. So, because Ben and his grandfather are incredibly close, he has felt that he needs to travel back to the UK to spend Christmas this year, just in case, you know, he essentially doesn't recover, which is scary and heartbreaking. And of course, all my family are completely understanding of the last minute change of plans. But what it does also mean is our trip to Melbourne. Bella and I were going to continue with that trip, but I've kind of been thinking about it and I really don't want to do that drive. And if I'm also completely honest, Melbourne to me is more of a cooler months destination, just because you don't travel there for the beaches. You travel there to shop and eat and wander around the city. And that to me does not scream summer holiday. Even though we were all going to go and we were all going to go happily, I think that, to be honest, I would rather wait for Ben, wait for the cooler months, and then travel down there then. And instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to book Bella and I a few nights in Sydney, and we're just going to have a bit of a girls' getaway, and we'll go to the beaches in Sydney and do all the usual things that we like to do in Sydney as well. And I know that a lot of you are actually international as well, so just so you're aware, there is a bit of a Melbourne-Sydney divide, and people tend to be either Melbourne people or Sydney people. We are definitely Sydney people. It's just a place that I, pretty much grew up in. It was my second home, and I just love the lifestyle of Sydney. I love the hustle and bustle, but I love the beaches there as well. And like I said, Melbourne's beaches just, it's not a destination to go to the beach. So having said that, we are going to now cancel our accommodation in Melbourne, and I'm going to, I don't know if I actually ever said, we were booked to stay at the Langham in Melbourne, but instead we'll stay in the Langham in Sydney, and we'll go there just for a few days, not the entire week like we were planning Melbourne. Melbourne, we were going to stay there for the entire week because it is about a 7-hour drive, I think, which when you're traveling 7 hours, I feel like you kind of want to make it worth it. Whereas Sydney is 2.5 hours away from Canberra. So we can do a shorter trip because less time is obviously eaten up by traveling. I haven't quite, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, do I have another one? No. I haven't quite worked out what dates we're gonna go yet. I think that given the Langham isn't necessarily in the best location for the New Year's Eve fireworks, and also they might not even have fireworks on this year apparently, because of strikes with the public transport in New South Wales. So I don't think we necessarily need to be there for New Year's Eve. I don't feel compelled to be there for New Year's Eve. Like, to be honest, I don't think Bella and I would actually do anything completely overly celebratory for New Year's Eve if we were there anyway, just because obviously it's just the two of us and she's quite young, and also Ben's not there as well. So we are just going to stay there for a few nights, like I said. I've just got verification code for the Langham because I am a member. But I think we're just gonna, what it does allow us with a shorter break means that I can spend a little bit more on accommodation. So we might see how much the suites are. Actually, what I will do first is, okay, so we'll cancel the Langham in Melbourne. One thing I think I will do for us though is I do want to book the high tea at the Langham. So if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that Bella and I went to the high tea at the Hyatt in Canberra, of course. Hold on, my battery's dying. Okay, we're back. So what I was saying was, I think I'm gonna book us into, hold on, this action. Okay, I had to read and I had to pay attention. Cancelled. Okay, we've cancelled Melbourne. Okay, so what I was saying was, I'm thinking of booking us into the high tea at the Langham when we're there, and that is because Bella and I, we tend to have this tradition where we go to Sydney together just for one night before Christmas, sort of mid-December, and just as an early Christmas present to ourselves, and we just go there and we do a bit of shopping. We do get presents and things like that, but we also treat ourselves to a high tea at the Langham. We didn't do that this year, so I thought that we should hold on to the high tea tradition and would just go to the Hyatt in Canberra for high tea. It was abysmal. It was so disappointing, honestly. There was like no imagination to what they presented us. In fact, I might actually add some footage from the high tea and you'll see how insignificant the offering is as well that they give you. There were like a few finger sandwiches each that, you know, the bread wasn't the best high quality. Like, to be honest, I wouldn't have been surprised if they had gotten the bread just from Woolies Bakery. The service was slow, and like overall the experience was just really disappointing. I don't want to rag on it too much, but it did take them 40 minutes to bring out our high tea stand. It took them an hour and 15 minutes to bring us any tea, which we're there for high tea. So it was really annoying. And because there wasn't that much given to us in terms of food, we'd all but finished what we'd received by the time we actually got the tea. Hold on, I'm doing that thing where my mind is all scattered and I'm like just throwing information at you. So let's stop and rewind. I just told you like a big lot of information about the Hyatt high tea, but I'm gonna start again. So I'm gonna put some footage in so that you can understand how disappointing like their offering is to begin with. We were given hardly any food, which was incredibly disappointing for the price point because they charge the same as the Langham for high tea. And like I said, it's a tradition of Bella's and mine to go to the Langham for high tea. And so we're well versed in what the Langham offers. So we can compare exactly what the Hyatt gave us versus the Langham. And it was abysmal. What? Savory person. In fact, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to pick a savory offering over sweet. And so when we were sat down to our table when we arrived, the lady said to us that we're going to receive our treats and, you know, sandwiches tower. She said, but by the way, there's some shelves over there in the middle, and you can go there and there'll be like sandwiches and all of that kind of thing. So if you need more food, by all means, go over there and help yourself. And I was like, that's great, because I'm going to be into those sandwiches like there's no tomorrow. Anyway, we sat down. She's like, oh, you're also a little bit early, so you're going to have to wait a few minutes before your high tea is served. And I said, well, that's like no problem at all. Like, I get it. So we arrived, I think, early. Can we actually, hold on, let's just stop there for a minute and just give myself like a little pat on the back, because we arrived, so the seating, the high tea was to start at 2, and I think we arrived 5 minutes early, which I am never early for anything. So apparently, except for when there's food. So let's just pause for a second and just acknowledge the fact that I got to somewhere not only on time, but early. Anyway, so she's like, okay, you've got a few minutes before we bring out your food. Not a problem. 2:30 rolls around and they've realized that they haven't brought us anything. And we're like not the only patrons there. Other people have got their stuff. And sorry, I'm gonna type while I'm talking to you because I really do need to order this stuff and head to the gym. Not order, book our accommodation and then head to the gym. So half an hour goes, and then they bring out some canapes for Bella and I, just one each, to apologise for the fact that they haven't served us our tower yet. A couple of minutes passes and then they bring out our tower. You've seen by now how abysmal it is. And so Bella and I, we eat our sandwiches, and my rule for high tea with Bella is you have to eat the savoury foods first, and then you can go nuts with like the cakes and all of that kind of thing. So we eat our sandwiches, and even she, who is a massive sweet tooth, was like, wow, like that was nothing. So I said to her, I'm like, oh, do you want to go take your plate and go and grab some more sandwiches from where the lady showed us there would be more food? Anyway, she goes over and she comes back and she's like, Mum, like she brings back, poor girl, she brings back a little Madeleine cookie, and it's dipped in white chocolate. And she's like, Mum, is this savory? And I'm like, no, it's covered in chocolate. Of course it's not savory. And she's like, Mum, there's nothing up there. And I'm like, no, surely you're having me on. Like, you just want to get into the cakes. Let's go together. So we get up, we walk over there, and sure enough, there is absolutely nothing savory in their offering. And I'm standing there, I'm like, well, this is really confusing and disappointing, because the lady specifically said that, there would be sandwiches. And I hadn't even told her, mind you, that I was a savory person. She just offered that information freely. Anyway, so we're standing there and I'm a little bit like bewildered because I'm like, literally everything here is sweet. And anyway, this gentleman comes up to us and he goes, oh, I just saw you ladies like coming up here. And he's like, I just wanted to see what was kind of going on. And so he and I get to chatting and I'm like, oh yeah, like I was told that there would be more sandwiches up here. I'm such a savory person, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, I was really hoping for sandwiches. Anyway, he was like, yeah, do you remember when these were like, this was a buffet high tea? And I was like, yes. And he goes, I would just help myself to like 20 tuna finger sandwiches and I would be happy. And I was like, you know what? I'm exactly the same. I'm like, I would just eat the savory offerings and leave all the sweet stuff for everyone else. And he was like, oh, I can't believe like we're the same. Anyway, so this waitress walks past and he pulls her aside and he's like, excuse me, look, we were told that there would be more savory offerings. Do you mind if you just bring us like each a plate of more finger foods, more finger sandwiches, sorry. And anyway, she did agree to, and within like 20 or so minutes, we both were given a plate of additional finger sandwiches, which was lovely. So I do appreciate that. So for all of their shortcomings, there were ways to, I guess, make it better, because the staff did, try to fix things in the fact, that they gave us the additional sandwiches and they also gave us the apology canapes as well for delaying. But I will say as well, it took them an hour and 15 minutes. So that is at 3:15. High tea started at 2. At 3:15, we finally were given tea. So you would have also seen as well how little food we were given. And so we ate that well within an hour and 15 minutes. And so by the time we got our tea, we had nothing to kind of like sip and eat. And which was, again, quite disappointing. Again, we could have gone up to that tower that had additional food, but there's only so much sweet stuff that you kind of want. And to be honest, Bella by that point was like, Mom, like I'm getting a tummy ache. She gets a tummy ache and actually gets like physically ill if she has too much sugar as well. So she'd reached her capacity in terms of sugar because the stuff that obviously was sweet was incredibly sweet. But anyway, I digress. So that was last weekend. But because of how abysmal the Hyatt was for the high tea, I feel like we owe it to ourselves to have a high tea at the Langham and do it properly. So I think we will do that when we're up there as well. I think I've not got too many plans for Sydney because I think we'll only stay there for maybe like 3 nights. But we will obviously do a bit of shopping because the end of year sales will be on, and we'll definitely have a day or 2 at the beach as well. So it'll be quite lovely. despite the fact that, you know, we'll obviously be missing Ben. Looking at the prices. Oh my god. Okay, so for New Year's Eve, it is $2,500 for the night. Isn't that ludicrous? Okay, so I think, yes, that would be lovely. Do I want the harbour suite, or do I want suite with a terrace? I think I want a harbour suite. I don't know if we'll really use the balcony, to be honest. Okay, Bella, I can see there's a bathtub and everything. So that is a tradition of Bella's. If we are in a hotel with a bath, we absolutely have to visit, is it Lush, where they do all the bath bombs and that? We absolutely have to we absolutely have to go and get a bath bomb for her, because she absolutely, without fail, has to use the bathtub if we are away. So I can see that that's going to be one of our nights. There's so many options with the Langham as well, like so many different like accommodation packages. So you just have to make sure that you get the right one for you. All right, that is all booked. So we've booked ourselves 3 nights in one of the 1-bedroom suites with the harbour view. I'm so excited. I love the Langham. It's just, my soul just feels at ease when I stay at a Langham. It is so incredible. But that reminds me, I've been harping on about the high tea. I absolutely need to book the high tea. Okay, so my battery is at 7%, which means that I have to put you on the charger. I'm trying to think of other things that I need to update you on, things that have happened over the past few weeks. But do you know what? I actually don't think that there is anything for me to update you on. We are going to head to the gym. My appointment for my nails is at 4, so I think I need to leave the gym at about 20 to 4. So I need to be in the gym working out at 20 to 3, because my workout will take about an hour. So I probably need to leave here at 2:30. So we've got an hour to kind of kill. I also need to get the big suitcase for Ben as well, because it's winter obviously in the UK, so he needs to take some bigger coats with him. Thankfully he's allowed 40 kilos in business, so that helps with a lot as well. So I've got to remember to get my suitcase for him. I'm hoping I have it actually, because I know I lent it to my sister at one point, and I feel like, no, I didn't lend it to mum and dad when they went to Europe, because mum ended up buying like a full set for herself and dad. So I do need to remember that as well. Anyway, and then we'll get our nails done, then we'll go for a walk, and then we'll probably head back to Ben's. I think he's meeting his mate to work out at about 8 o'clock tonight, so we'll have like a late dinner and all of that kind of thing. But because he's going to the UK, I do need to compile a shopping list for him, because I'm sure that he will have time to shop while he's there for me. So, you know, very important business today. But that'll be sort of what we're getting up to today. Tomorrow we've got to go some Christmas gift shopping, obviously, now that he's going home for the holidays. So he does need to bring some gifts for, I think his cousin had a baby, and his best mate has 2 babies as well that need gifts. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm on the hook for the turkey now that he's not here. We made the mistake of Ben making his Christmas turkey last Christmas, and now he was on the hook for it for Christmas in July at my parents', which he delivered, but he was meant to do it for Christmas as well, and now that he's not here, I have to do it, and I just hope I do it justice, or I might fuck it up so that I never have to do it again and he just always has to do it.